Corbin beside me here in the studio, and we're ready to get crack-a-lackin'. That's what he told me anyways. So, yeah, I hope everybody's been having a good day. I posted some new pictures on the interweb. Today I posted our next two images, and I'm going to walk you through them. But before I do that, you want to say hi? Let's get this over with. No, he's all right for now. He's chilling like a villain. All right, well, we'll do it after. Okay, let's get my big noggin out of the road, and here we go. Today's pages are brought to you by the letter B. This is the first of the two pages from yesterday, or drawings from yesterday anyways. This one is where I was writing down dialogue that people were saying to me as I was streaming. So this page was called Admiral Larry Flint Eye. I thought I had a big giant head. And the text says, I think we're having French toast today. I'd like to fix a yellow bean soup. And then, of course, the third person says, look at the size of that head. So there we go. There's our three. And lines of dialogue there. The previous two pages, I went in and I put some titling on. So there's jockeys. This is the ones from 2 days ago. And wall graphique. So yeah, so these guys are, now if I was going to do anything with wall graphique, I'll show you something. Let me just get tricky here. I had considered doing this, right? Bear with me. Now, what I had considered was that if I were to do that and then follow that up with trimming it right down to the sides, I actually like this better, but I wanted to walk through it first because, you know, it's a different kind of thing. Hey, Chris, welcome aboard. So this is what I really wanted to do with lettering. I've been finding that lately I have been allowing myself to make these corrections that, you know, make more sense to me, because this, while it's all fine and good, this I actually prefer because it seems to me to be more in keeping with the visual. So, you know, so that's where I would really actually take the image. And so I just thought I'd walk through that here in the stream. Hi, Liz. How are you? Liz will be sending you a message and stuff tonight about stuff, about books. So so this is just me saving it now. So that's the change that I have made with wall graphique. And then there's jockeys, even though he's not wearing a jacket. So this is where we added the text from everybody. That was in a part of the thing yesterday because I thought it was quite fun. And then the second one is waiting for the bus. And again, another fun page, a bunch of different media. And oh, it's time. Hold on, here he comes. Somebody's come over. All right, buddy, do your thing. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Hey, I like soup. They did a drawing today about soup. Nice. All right, that's it. Get drawn. That's it? Okay. That's it, apparently. Okay, well, he had to have his little moment. All right, so yeah. So there's waiting for the bus. The fact there's the train behind him just makes me giggle. You know, and half the time, any of these things is about making myself giggle. So, oh, we're saying hi to you, bud. The colors are great. Oh, I'm glad you like this. Let's go to the overhead. So I'm going to throw, I'm enjoying this sketchbook process. I really am. And it's something that is a constant for me anyways. It's something that I'm consistently doing with materials, you know. And like I'll do little collages that I'll never touch again. And they'll just be sitting there somewhere. like little collaged elements like this. I don't know what the deal is with this. Route or route, depending upon where you live. Now, there's a follow-up to this one that there's like a secondary one because initially the image was twice as big. Enjoy the scenic route. But I think it's fun to try both of these completely separate and removed from one another. And, this is the background, right? This really isn't the image. So, something to consider. Now, I'm going to do something for a second. It's going to move our image up just a tad. There we go. Just so that when I set something on the thing, it's not gone. So there we go. All right. Now, I've got more surfaces for us to work on. 3 times the charge. I got an empty chair today. Today's the empty chair day. I keep forgetting, let's be honest. I've got no rhyme or reason. You know what? There we go. People in chairs. Anyhow, so let's slide that over. So yeah, I've actually got extra things that are kicking around that I started scribbling and doodling with as well. So maybe we'll do something with that at some point. So, okay, here we are. What's that? What is it? Huh? I see an empty chair there. Okay. So let's utilize this. Let's have fun with this. So I'm going to just stick our images, our existing pages that we've done so far, and we're just going to throw them over there. And so at the end of this, my intention is let's do a little slideshow. Now, I'm going to do my darndest to replicate what we've got in here. And so this is our supplied image. Here's our surface. Now, let's see if we can get crafty. I think we can. So I zoomed in a little bit on that. Now, I'm going to just go right over top of here. And I'm going to put in, our composition. I'm probably going to have to do this a couple of times because it's fairly translucent. Or maybe we won't. We'll see. We'll decide. We'll decide as we go. Huh? Or as we used to say back at Alice's place, we're going with the flow. So, very nice. Yep. So there's our first person. And here comes our second person. So this is from, I even doodle at the beach. So that's what this is. This is me sketching people sitting at the beach. If I'm not swimming, I'm drawing. That's my rule of life, folks. So there's that first part. Now we're going to switch a Rooski. What? Empty chair. And we're going to put the empty chair right here. And I still use this. Oops, sorry for the shaky. So I'm going to put our empty chair in place. I thought it was Friday. It's Thursday. It's Wednesday. At least it's Wednesday here. Isn't it Wednesday? I thought it was Wednesday. Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'm getting to the point where every day doesn't feel like I have to achieve something. That's perfect. There is an interesting study that was just done where the people that can move past that point are the ones that can lead longer and enjoyable lives, especially in their retirements, because they've been able to let go of that sense of always having to accomplish things. I wrestle with that because I tend to think, I'm not that guy. But then I also tend to be that guy. So, all right, so there's our first little application of colors there. So we've got our empty chair from here. And we've got our two people that are just half off camera now, but that's where we're starting from. Now I'm going to find do we have a red pen? Red pen. Oh, red pen. Do I have one? Well, I should. Well, let's use a brown. See if the brown will pop. Just give me a second. Hold that back up there. So, I think it's Wednesday. Hold on, I got to check now. It's Thursday. When did that happen? Yeah. Well, that tells me what my afternoon is. I got paperwork to catch up on. Boy, oh boy, I thought it was Wednesday. I got to be honest, folks. I have a really hard time keeping track of wherefores and whats. That's a problem with working from home, is that, and having fairly similar routine each day, is that gets lost. But yeah, it's Thursday. Great. I'm sorry that it's still 2 days there, but I have a paper due tonight. I just reminded myself. But thank you for telling me it's Thursday. Boy, oh boy, this guy doesn't even know what day it is. All right, so here's our next two characters that I've lightly put in here. Now, I could do another coat, but I think that what I'm just going to do with this pen is just kick them back in here, and then we'll start pulling out another color. I think I'll go with a yellow this time and let the orange peek through as we're going here, and just start drawing in our image once more. But we'll pick out some of these shapes, and in the course of doing so, we will discover a couple of fun and interesting things, I think. So I brought the camera in a little bit, so hopefully you're going to be able to see that just a little bit better. It's challenging adapting in life, you know. It really, I used to be a 50-hour-a-week guy, and yep, out of the house way too much, you know, putting in hours that just took me away from what it was more important. And then made a choice, said no more, which is not, you know, something everybody's not going to be able to do. But it's funny. At one point, my wife said to me, "Why don't you go work in the studio?" It's like, okay, all right. And there was a puff of smoke, and just gone. Quick, before she changes her mind. No, I'm really lucky. I got a really great partner, a really supportive partner that kind of gets if I don't do stuff, I'm going to be absolute nuisance. Okay, so here's our second person going in, and I've clearly shifted over the image a little bit, but who cares? We'll fill that in. So we've got our characters drawn in there. Bear with me a sec. Now, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to try to pick them out a little better with this yellow by pulling a little more opacity in them. Hey, look at that. Oof. And then this way, you're going to be able to see them a little more clearly as well. You're still in? Yeah, just making sure I'm in frame here, folks. Oh my. Did you want gold? Oh, wow. Do whatever you want. Anyone who doesn't do that's a controlled person. I guess. I don't know. I'm a do whatever you want guy, but so I tried to watch some self-help things last year, just to sort of figure out my approach to reality here. And one of the things that I realized is something that Carlin said, and that was that if it's self-help, you know, it's if it's coming from somebody else, it's not self-help. It's just help. And the challenge of these people that speak to change and do this and you'll be happy. Do this and you'll be a millionaire. Is what works for one doesn't work for another. There's a whole bunch of different factors, and it makes it challenging, But I like the idea of general advice, like, hey, enjoy yourself. Or what was that? Do only what you want. Do only what you want is pretty challenging, though. I mean, describes a level of accommodation, depending upon what it is people want to do. But that level of accommodation is something that not everyone has. And again, mitigating factors. But we got to find things that bring us joy, and we got to find things that help us understand our place in this world. And that's tricky enough. So hopefully this is starting to look like a quick doodle, right? But now we're putting these elements together. Trisha's commute's only 10 minutes away. Oh, parking. Goodness gracious, parking. The eternal joy of doing anything in a campus or a core area. Parking. Because my wife works in a building that has dedicated parking underneath. We have parking in our downtown area. But our downtown area is fairly spread out like everything else in London. So, you could park in our parking thing. But then if you're going to go to the theater or something like that, you got to walk 15 minutes. Or if you're going to go to see the Symphonia here in London, you got to walk 25 minutes. It's ridiculous. So you still end up having to run around park places. All right, here's Enjoy the Scenic coming together now. So what I'm just doing is I'm throwing in flat colors. Now we've put in our characters. We're going to do more with this. But, there's a few different things that we can do here. Now what I'm going to do is this. This is a little bit random, but bear with me. Whoops. Look at this. Good stuff, Runsman. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting a big fat line across the top of blue. And I'm going to fill this in up here with the blue. Right? Right. And if I'm going to do the sky, if I'm going to do a scene with these guys at the beach looking forward to, I just wanted to sort of block a big chunk of color in there up above it, just to go, sort of give myself a little nudge towards where we're going with that. I mean, somewhere at a specific time, no matter what's going on. Yeah, I can understand that, Liz. My goodness. Yeah, we end up doing the same. Or we have our routines, and those routines start to some extent, define our living, right? Those routines and those regular have-tos. They tend to take up our choice making on time management, and kids. Kids are in the mix. even after the kids are grown up and moved out, like ours have, you're still like, okay, what's you're still constantly factoring in kids, even if they don't live at home anymore, they're 20s and 30s, and then it becomes grandkids. What about the, we're not travelers to start with. We're just not. And that makes it a little bit easier. But so the reason that I'm smudging it out after I put the blue down here is so that we keep this business in the background. I don't want to lose it fully, right? But we want, this is why I painted that top blue area opaque. And I'm going to come back in and juice it up some more. But whereas everything else is being smudged out. Because I don't want to lose these details, but I'm not concerned about up there. All right, it's coming along. I am pleased with molasses. I want to take a different direction today than yesterday. And I'm not just talking about the difference of horizontal and portrait format, but yeah. So this is a mixed media thing, and despite its mixed media-ness, I still having fun, right? Still messing with we're still applying our own images over top, not just using the pre-existing things. So with this, enjoy the scenic, I'm going to come back with that orange again, and I'm going to throw that down here. And we may come back. Now this brand is not as opaque as the other that I was just using. So the reason I'm putting this in is to start to tie in our foreground as well. And by putting the orange down, it's going to work like a base so that when I go over in yellow and picking and choosing, one, it'll help the yellow to be more, solid, but two, that orange underlying color is in there. Look at our two characters here. So now we've got our beach scene, but we've still got this window view and the text coming through. I don't know if this is as fun as whatever we've been doing before, but here we are. So I'm going to need to let that dry for a second. What else we got in this page we want to use? We got this other one, route. Now, we can take this off and put it someplace else if we need to, but route is an interesting word. I'm not sure. We've got another guy under here. They're down here towards the bottom. Let me pull this up. Here's a guy sitting right here under an umbrella, right? Maybe we can do something with our umbrella guy. But let's change our palette. Let's change our palette dramatically here. I'm going to put him in right off the hop in white, and not this white. So I'm just, first things first is I'm just using a flat color and I'm replicating the shape that I've drawn over here, right? I think those are too short, a little farther out. But I'm just replicating the shapes that are in my little doodle. And then we'll start picking out the line language out of it after, and then we'll start pulling those details in. And And we're going to make a little adjustments as we go because we're not overly worried about having to be completely dedicated to the existing image. We can do what we like. You know, we're the bosses in this whole process, folks. I'm also going to be a little bit more opaque this time. And we're going to go over our word. Okay, so there's that. Now let's go. So we'll come back at this again in a second. Let's jump here. Now we've got our characters and we've got our scene in the foreground. What was I going to do? Oh yeah, the yellow. Let's apply this yellow down here at the bottom. Now this time I'm going to go right in here with this color. And I'm going to go over the words as well. Now we'll pull them back out again. But I want these details to run in behind them. So there's a realization, of course, that I have to then go back and pull those letters back up. But we're good with that, right? We're good in the hood. So my brain starts going through color choices while I'm working on things, like doing things like this. And I start thinking, well, if I had a tan color, I'd put some tan in this area here, the tan looking area. So let's at least use this soft brown. I don't know what, like a sienna. Okay, we'll come back to that. Now, now for this. So the idea with putting the white in here, I'm going to switch fingers before I start smudging color all through the white, is to fade out the background here. I just want to diffuse this blue. See, I did it. Use my smudging finger that's got color on it. Oh, boy. Trick is you got to do this before this sucker dries. But there's our scene coming together here now. We're just trying to tie things together and you know, flatten the image so that the focus is the image, not necessarily, you know, all the different parts that make it up. It's the whole thing. There we go. So we've got that starting to come in. It's not very blendy, but better than what we did. All right, we'll come back to this. Let's give this guy a quick second. Let's, am I still in frame for folks? If I'm not, please let me know. All right, we're going to move this up so you can see there's our dude in the chair. Here's our picture. So this is just this random brown pen. And I'm going to draw him into our foreground. Nice abstract figure. This fellow got a nice abstract figure. I think it was with that one. So here's our big feet. He can't help it. So there's this character now coming in. So which chair is the empty one? So whose chair is the empty one? See how fun that is for a story? Whose chair is this empty chair? There's a conversation for you. Loretta, go grab that empty chair over there. It's someone else's chair, Harold. We've got plenty of chairs for us. No. What do we need another one? We won't need another one. There's all kinds of different little opportunities for story with a random element. That's a great point, Liz. Okay, so there's our stuff coming in now. I'm going to be funny. Yeah. So we're gonna change things up a little bit here. Bear with me. Now I've been doing montage things in the last couple of these sketches, and I thought that this time we'd just go, let's do flat images and pull those out of here. There's so many things that we can do with just random elements, right? It's just allowing ourselves to be receptive to going with it and seeing what we put together. It's Thursday. Woo! Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I keep track of the days better there. Goodness. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have the other people are at a beach. This dude is in a woodland area. I got a message yesterday from somebody about why do you draw over top of the things you're wrecking the things. And I'm like, look at the page. I've drawn over things so repeatedly. I think the floppy hat character's name could be Harriet. Well, there we go. Orville and Harriet. So we've got a base, bunch of color coming in here now. And we're just going to flush this out. Leave that little bit of texture in there because it's fun. Orville, Harriet, grab that chair. There we go. There, we've written our page. Okay, so now we've got our two separate things. And so they're starting to, while similar, they are differentiating from one another, which is fun in the sun. So let's, okay, so there we go. So here's our images now. And what we can do next is Norman Harriet. Nope, too bad, it's Orville. I like Orville. All right, so let's go back to here. Now I've got, we're going to try a couple different things. I've got this white pencil. And I'm going to start using this to push around the white here. Fade out. Just a little better blending of that white to blue. Using this white pencil over top. And also picking up on this seam and stuff I love stuff like that. Other people like, oh, make it look like a much cleaner blue. No, I like the seams coming through. I like the jagged marks and the texturous things. Those are fun. Those give the eye something to move around with. Now we can come back in and reevaluate our colors that we have on our chairs and so forth. So I'm going to start putting some other colors down in here into our, I guess, folding chairs, lawn chairs, beach chairs, whatever people call them. And I'm going to blend that a little more. No. So we're putting some of these little details in here now, just to start to separate out our picture a little bit more, give it a little bit more something to it. Oh, the bombers is like seeing a little nod to today's events. Chairs for a dog. I like the idea of just an empty chair. And I don't know what events are going on in the world. I don't pay attention to the news for a reason. And that reason is health and well-being. Is this the blue? This might be the... No, it's not. This is not the same blue as what's in the sky. Yeah, I tend to stay the heck away from politics. And I tend to live a happier life. So here's the second chair coming in now. And I chose a different color because how many people have matching chairs when they go to the beach? You show me those people and I will show you somebody who's way too coordinated. Way too coordinated. Yeah, let's go for this. We're going to go use this crazy, supposed to be brown, but ends up being tan colored for our next chair. And what I'm considering doing is a weave pattern with this. We'll see if we can get any of it too. And then we'll come and we'll tighten that up and we'll interlace the weave in a minute. Interlace? With the fancy words, Jack. Oh, yeah. I'm honestly, I am not, I don't connect on purpose for all that jazz. Can't do it. It's terrible crap in the world. Terrible crap nearby. It's lots of the bad big C's. So, all right. So I realized I was missing a. So I'm coming back in with the pen and punching in some little hits, little emphasis points on our furnishings here. Gotta be careful. There's some tricky surface here, surface issues because of the magazine paper that's underneath here. No, I'm gonna practice bricks, practice chairs. Why not? That's I mean, there's the thing is that one of the reasons I pretty much draw whatever, and try not to shy away from that is that I may well have to draw it later. Like yesterday with the whole, let's put in a train. What's a train shaped like? And then my brain just goes into that catalog of details and information that we collect over time from practice, from drawing. What I've drawn that before. What came about of that? What was it? And we build that up over time. Like we build up that facility and that little library of things that we can call upon. So yeah, allow yourself to practice drawing different things, and who knows when you'll come on something that you need a brick wall in front of a broken chair. Go to the beach more. Yeah, we're in a ride our bikes more mode this year. I got a big heavy frame bike. It's great, but yeah, it's not easy to just cart around. So there's our chair, and hopefully you can see that without the glare. So there's our empty chair in place here. And let's do purple blanket here on our one person there. And I've got a kind of a weird soft orange kind of Caucasian color here. I'm going to put this in place on our, drop that in on our character's legs here and so forth. Red shorts. There's just red shorts sticking there. And yeah, this person will have a pink apparel. And I think, ow. So I'm just monkeying around with these paint markers for the moment, just to get all these flat colors in, and then we're gonna juice them up a little bit. Oh, we can use this same value here. Why not? All right, so here's our two characters coming through. We'll come back to them in a moment. What I want to do is get a little bit of opaque yellow in here throughout the base of this chair to sort of root it into the ground, and then to push out these characters into this space. And we'll put some emphases in places. So appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out, and appreciate all the new people that are joining in. My goal is to hit 500. It's my big lofty ambition, because you can do different things if you have more people following you. You know, but hopefully we're doing something interesting enough for people to follow. I hope, anyways. You know, I'd much rather have something to offer there. Cutting that white in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we've got our image pretty consistently here. Now, remember how earlier I put that big punch of blue at the top? So what I was thinking of doing this time was to do so with this purple, and in the same way as we did the blue. And hopefully, because we already put this opaque blue down earlier, it's going to allow this purple to be a little more solid. Right out to the edge there. You know, just a sort of a little balance to what's going on down below. And we've already snuck some little purples and pinks and things into our composition already. So we'll come back to this in a second. Tidy that all up. Let's go back to this crazy cat. So I've got a dark green here. Now, we've got two choices, folks. We can either do this cat sitting on a little beach, out of Winnipeg there, a little beachy area there beside one of the lakes, and then have trees in behind, or we can do something else. Yeah. Read. I hope I caught a hold of everybody and said hi to everybody at this point. If I haven't, I'm sorry. Oh, well, that's cool. Thanks. Yeah, the last one is Orville and what is it? Harriet. And then I have no name for this kid. So yeah, I think that what we'll do is we'll start with some trees in the lake. And I'm just this is gonna seem random at first, but I'm just throwing in some marks like this because I don't know that I'm going to stay with them being trees the whole way up. I'll decide in a minute. So all of this scratching and scribbling over here that's going on, that's my forest. Doesn't it look like a forest? So oftentimes when I'm putting together elements, I'll not overly worry too much about everything, trying to define, let's draw a perfect tree here and let's get all that. Yeah, nope. Just first and foremost, I'm putting down marks and the trees will start to appear as we start putting different elements in. But to start with, you got to have something for them to work on. There's a great artist named John J. Muth, and he's got a series of things that he's done. But in one of his books that I've got of his process, he had, I think it's like an 8-foot by 30-foot canvas. And what the first thing he did was gave his kids and the neighborhood kids some paint and let them go to town, monkeying around with the surface of the canvas. And what that gave him was, all kinds of interesting underlying texture in order for him to paint on. And what a fun notion that is, because when you think about it, why not do that? Why not just allow somebody else's vicarious moment through? But it aids you because now you've got this great surface modulation that you can build upon, right? So here's our stuff starting to come together of our dude sitting here in a little forested area beach. Hopefully that's starting to look like something. I'm back. I'm at the office. Oh, I'm glad you found a parking space. Is this a guy or a girl? Who knows? The large tree canvas is a commissioned piece. That took a day. The one in the slideshow, it's 3 feet by 4 feet, and yeah, about a day and a half maybe. And so, you know, I work regardless of scale. I relatively work the same way, with variations for size, right? Like, you know, bigger brushes, let's say. But I'll do the same thing. I'll modify surfaces, you know, put paper in there, whatever else underneath the surface, and then build on that. So yeah, that's a 3 foot by 4 foot piece on paper with all kinds of paper and stuff embedded in, and acrylic application on top. And I can show what we're referring to. People, actually, why don't I just do that now? First, I gotta move this, sorry. I'm gonna switch off the browser for a sec. And I'm just gonna pull this up, what we're referring to. This. There. So this is 3 feet by 4 feet. And I have a section of wall in the studio here, and I just taped it up to that and went to town. So it's got a masking tape, and it's a numerous bunch of different pieces of paper, not one just flat piece, all affixed together, and little bits of paper inside of it, and tape cutting across it. And I don't know if the photo, yeah, so I don't know if you can catch this in whatever your screen is, but there are lines within it, and those lines are from separations of different pieces of paper, and there's tape under those surfaces, and there's a line across here. It actually works with the branches. And so this way of doing a forest is similar to what I'm doing here, you know, but it's just, yeah. I did the whole painting, and then I realized, hey, I want to add leaves and flowers in the foreground. Like, you know, like 4 hours later. So I came back and did that. But that's what we're referring to is this. So there we go. And then the other one that I did for that same office is here. And this is a mountain scene from Banff here in Canada. And so it's the same scenario. This is on, you can see how there's the blue tape up here. These are different pieces of paper all affixed together once again. And then the mountain scene painted on top. And so if we zoom in, you can see there's tape under here, and there's little random lines of paper and stuff cut throughout, you know. And then it really is just a series of different kinds of marks, right? And throwing those different marks together, you know, creates different textures, and those textures and are trying to represent the mountains and the forest down below, etc. So there's the mountains, and then there's the forest. Doo-dah. All right, back to this. So where are we at? So this is Enjoy the Scenic. This is where we are. And you can see some of the details that we've got put together here. And then we'll tighten it up right now. But and then here's the start of our next one. So I'll come back to Enjoy the Scenic. But first and foremost, let's do this guy. Now, the way that I showed you those mountains a moment ago is how we're going to apply ourselves here. So if you look, you'll see all kinds of crossing over lines and gaps and spaces for light through the trees and things like that. That's a forest. It's not just the painting of the trees. It's the painting of whatever's in behind it as well. So So that's what we're going to do here. So now I'm doing the same thing that I just did with the pen, but I'm doing it with pencil crayon now. And the white, the reason I haven't done anything with our foreground character is because, you know, why finish that aspect if I may well, you know, make mistakes and doodle over it or whatever else. So now the word root may well disappear here, folks. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll try to get it back, but maybe we won't. We haven't decided yet. I'll defer to Corbin on that one. So now here's more of our creative mess. Blank space or the importance of empty space, as they say. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of other things that I've done since the office paintings. And one of the things that I had considered actually for today was maybe utilizing, where is it? The forest page, or all the outside imagery that I doodled. I had thought about, why don't we do something with this today, this page, and maybe we'll do that tomorrow. So, you know, it can't all be funny jokes about, you know, buses and trains, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with some, just applying some green into this area in the back, flattening things out a little bit. Just trying to tie our marks and image all together here. And then we're going to start pulling trees out next. But hopefully at this point in time, you can start to see the woods. Maybe at this point in time. I'm not sure if other people are seeing it yet, but this is the double edge, right? This is where we come in, and much like we have here, okay, we've got some elements in our foreground, some little divisions of trees in our background, greenery that cuts through space, but light is in there doing its thing. And so as I put in this part of the image, there's a realization that this area here is going to chop up the bases of it. But your Sasquatches are hilarious. I could hide a Sasquatch in the trees. Well, that's the thing. There's a reason that the world's best hide-and-seek artist. You know? Like, maybe people are thinking that they're going to see one. I mean, the Sasquatches are so good at hide and seek, they can't even find them to present them with the award. You know what I mean? Runner-up, Nessie. Anyhow. So now I'm picking out some trees. Different sizes, different shapes, and not entirely all at the same base area here either. Some are bigger in the foreground, some are less so. And we're not overly concerned about everything being all too clearly defined. So hopefully now you're starting to see the woods. I'm going to say that 26 more times, folks. And the other part of It is to shake it up. Different sizes, different spacings, right? So there's got to be enough diversity and range in how all of these different shapes make up the woodland. And then also is I do this sometimes. Here we go. Woohoo! This guy's falling over. You don't all have to be straight up and down, right? We're drawing on some of the old lines that we might have thrown in here at some point. So I don't know. Maybe this is interesting. Maybe it isn't. But this is how I go about, in the quick and dirty, on how I go about making a forest area. Now, I'm going to come in with a light blue right now, which is maybe a random choice. But the reason that I'm coming in with this light blue, let's use this one, it's even lighter. The reason that I'll come in with this light blue is to start to pick out light between the trees. Now, I've used a yellow in that other one, but in this case, I'm just going to find some light blue areas and pop those in. And what am I thinking? And it's not all just spaced according to, like, look, there's a line that's back in here, so we can add this line into our division, right? It's not just the big lines for the big trees. So here's our this is the start of light coming through our trees. And then we'll build up on this in a few minutes here. But this is why I left, again, our foreground, because I'm going over little bits of it, just little bumps. And I'll tighten those up after. But if I'd finished coloring the whole foreground characters and stuff like that, I was just going to annoy myself by having to do some things again. I've got, I don't know if people are familiar with the band Zeus, but I've got Zeus stuck in my head today. Wonderful Canadian band. And a Greek god with a bad temper. So there's our treetops, the light coming in on our treetops there. I don't know, maybe you could walk through this video, and honestly, Lori says this is the sort of thing that I should time lapse. But that would involve me being conscious, thinking ahead. So we've got our characters in now. So I'm just going to run a line through here to emphasize separation from there to there. Start to put in some bits of detail through here. And just little emphasis points, right? Trying to just give a little more structure. And then afterwards, we'll tighten up our text down here. I was thinking about doing a little outline on our characters to really push them off the background as well. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see if I can do this without making a boo-boo. Why don't you just get a ruler, Chris? Oh yeah, ruler. Should have got a ruler. Okay. So there, that's starting to tie together. Really fast at building the images. Oh, well, thanks. It's just practice, right? It's just the routine of it that starts to inform how we go about doing things. Just trying something here. Yeah, this one's later. Okay. So now I'm going to come in and put all kinds of little bits of little dots of green all throughout here. Just to imply canopy, just to imply leaves and so forth. And it's one of those things that people might not even, notice really. Start to throw some little greens down in the bottom too. And then we'll pull out, and then the last little thing will be to decide if we're going to have some foliage kicking across, or are we going to just punch the light throughout and just let it be a tall woodland. There we go there. Am I missing stuff? If I am, I'm sorry. Yeah, that one lives on the floor now. So, all right. Yeah, let me. Okay, let them dry. You got a feeling there's a lot of the reason I work on multiple things at once is because drying time, really. All right, so we've got this now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, over here. I'm going to get out a jelly roll pen, and what I'm going to do is just a really tiny little line around our background and our foreground. So just a tight little line, and then I'm also going to put in some emphasis points as I go. Little highlights. It's the highlight reel. So, the choice is, are you going for realism? Are you going for the image in and of itself? Like, there's those little choices to ask in your process. Like, does this have to act absolutely? Somebody looks at it and goes, it's perfect. That's exactly a realistic depiction of me at the beach, but there's more blue in my eyes, or are we just going for capturing the moment, capturing the image, capturing the idea? Which is more important? Those are the little questions you ask yourself while you're working, right? So here's, and I think I'm going to wrap it up on this one. So the whole point of doing, right, there we are. And then the last thing to do is this. Try to get those, but it's going to take a couple of turns at it to get the letters to pop back out. And actually, I'll just use a more opaque marker, but enjoy the scenic is going to come back up on the foreground, pop out again. But there's that image done. Whoops, there we go. There's that image done. Hiya, Linda. Hiya, Tim. So there's our first one. And here's our next one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here down here in the bottom of the forest area, punch of yellows, bushes and whatnot, and then I'm hitting them with my fingertip and letting that fingerprinting, spodge up that's an official word, spodge, the application here, make it a little more texturous for our underbrush. So it's, again, fairly abstracted, but at the same time, I think it gets the idea across. So then we're going to run up the spaces in between. So this is what I was talking about earlier here with this, is that now you start to pull light into the area. So those separations between the trees themselves. So just little areas where light comes through. Just different shapes. There's a little bit of a spotting that goes on with this paint marker that does bother me a little bit, but it's acrylic coming out of a marker. I can't really be too complaining about it. So hopefully, when we stand back and look at this now, and then the last thing I'm going to do is going to come in and tighten up some of these dark lines. All right, so we'll just do this light peeking through here, and then we'll come through with the dark lines. There's a part of me that's actually considering not coloring in the person in the foreground, but just going over it again in white. And because I think what would be fun for this page is take a break, your picture here, or your face here. Why not? Look at this, we're advertising geniuses. Geniuses, oh boy. Back when I was a young lady in Dubuque, Montana, wrestling aardvarks, I never thought I'd be an advertising genius. So, thank you and Sally Fields and everybody else for making my dreams come true. So hopefully you're picking up forest. 27. Oh, forget it. We still got snow on the ground here. It's I'm a winter guy. I'm a northern guy. I know a lot of friends and family and stuff that, hey, let's go down south. I'm like, hey, have a great time. Maybe it's a size thing. I don't know. Just large. I don't like sweating. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do, give this a quick second, is that I'm going to come in with, where are you? There it is, this green. Now I put the trees in before with this brown. And this is why I say this is like in Manitoba or something like that, because we've got people that hang out like they're at a beach in the prairies beside a lake. Those are not warm lakes. Those are cold water lakes. That's not dark enough. Let's try you. You know where Loch Ness monsters swim? We have a Loch Ness in Canada. It's called Ogo Pogo. Seriously, what was his name? So all the little cross bits of sticks and branches and things like that is what's coming in here now. All that stuff that, you know, sort of sells the drama. The water is not cold; it's a bit warm and enough to cool you off. Well, there you go, perfect. That's all it you really need is that. I'm just a winter guy. I like the snow. It was only it's only been so many years now that I stopped wearing, open-toed shoes in the winter. Our body's metabolism changes over time. Yeah, coldest I've camped in is minus 42. Which is bonkers. But it was fun. But a pen blew up in my pocket because of the cold. All right, so this is all of our trees now popped through here, and hopefully people look at this and go, hey, you can cut some of those down, make a log cabin. So I'm just going to come through here and put little scribbles and doodles and things like that, just to give the eye moving around down here in the foliage. And then we'll put our, I'll tighten up the whites on the character in the foreground here, and then that's that. This person needs a name. No names. No names for an umbrella person. This is your face here. Actually, you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use this. Oh, Nelly. By Jove, we've got ourselves a opaque white there. In the words of Carl Sagan, fantastic. All right, so there's our foreground character. That way I don't need another pass, but there we go. There's our image. And so the whole point of this is insert yourself here. Did you hear that? It could be deliciously scary. It could also be a squirrel being a practical joker, rasping some nuts together and making somebody think it's a bigger animal. Just a little man, freak that guy out. So yeah, so I'll tighten up the white, but there we go. There's our second one from today, and there's our first one from today. So there's our two, and I've got to go over. I realize I have to go over the letters on. Right. There we go. I realize I have to go over the letters on the Enjoy the Scenic, but there's our two images for today, gang. And yeah, a couple pieces of paper with a bunch of random stuff on it, and you can see, the separations of things and some crinkling, and that's all fun. And you can see some of the scratchy marks for the putting the trees in, and that's all fun. And again, separations like down here. But those are the fun things that sort of let us, come up with some different directions on stuff. Now, tomorrow, I've also got a few other things that I'll finish today and post. But tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow? Which I believe is Friday. Tomorrow, sweet googly moogly. There we go. So tomorrow we're going to use these pages. And the idea here with these pages is that we can do two different directions there. Ooh, look at that. Space, the final frontier. And, the wonderful joys of the forest. Yeah. So you're fast on the drawing scene with all the details. Yeah, you got to get quick. And sometimes I find working fast helps me out. Here's another thing that I'm finishing off for today. Two guys. What's that guy looking at? I don't know. You tell me. Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting a whole bunch of these cards done, and we've been having some fun. These are coming along pretty nice, and now we've got some horizontal ones to kick into the mix. And again, each of these times, it's about trying different things, different combination of things, and applying ourselves in according to the image, and so everything has to look the same thing right out the window with that business. But there's our things for today. But thanks very much, everybody, for coming and hanging out, and thanks everybody for subscribing. It's really helped me out. I really appreciate it very, very much. If you've got some things kicking around in your studio, like I'll show you, if you cast off like stuff like this is a trim off of something else, or this is just getting paint off a brush, or this is a random size little piece of paper that just you've cut into the same uniform scale as everything else. This is a bit of a drawing from something else. This is allow yourself to keep those things around, and you never know how you can use them. And then the thing I talked about yesterday is if you don't keep a sketchbook like this, and you don't have the facility for going to get a sketchbook, but you want to try this sort of application, this is just some pieces of paper folded in half. I got a couple staples to hold them together, and so there we go. So now I've got a little surface for me to scribble some ideas on and to collect those so that I can then utilize those at a later date, which is what we're doing now. So don't, if you don't have something immediate to try this out with, and you want to keep them in one place, coalesced together, this might be of assistance to you. Try that out. You don't even have to staple them. Just keep them together. All right, gang. Well, that's it for me. I've got a couple things I got to get rocking and locking with because it's Thursday and I've got a paper due. So I'm going to finish that off. And thanks very much, everybody, for coming and hanging out. And I hope you had some fun. And if there's any questions about the things that we did today, feel free to put them in the comments for this video. And yeah, in the meantime, go make something. Have some fun, would you? Thanks very much, everybody. I think that's about it for me for now. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon EST. Bye for now.